So Mandy reviewed a lot of the technical, kind of intangible elements of the program and your responsibilities, the website, logging in, web tools. I'm going to try to focus a little bit more on the more tangible things like your instructor equipment, mannequins, and AEDs, laptops, etc., so that we can have a clear consensus on what we should be doing with our physical material. So one of the updates that Mandy mentioned earlier was glove usage in our curriculum. It turns out that our outline for our first aid CPR AED course, our lay responder course, does not include glove removal. And I know that some of you have been teaching it anyway, but in case you haven't, and I'm one of those people that did not teach glove removal because it wasn't in the outline, they will be adding it back into the program outline. So we're not going to be using the participant manual in the course because we don't use the participant manual. We only use the ready reference cards. But if you can make a copy of that one sheet and use that as a reference to teach your participants how to remove their gloves properly, then you'll be able to align to the update that we have for the program, which is to include glove removal. This skill is going to be added in the first lesson, which is in the section Overcoming Barriers to ACT. And this is always, students have to be wearing gloves during all the skills. And make sure that you are using non-latex gloves. You can use nitrile or vinyl during your courses. So I have knowledge check question number 8. And I'll bring that up here. So the question asks, during glove removal, after removing the first glove and balling it up in the gloved hand to remove the second glove, what do you do? So I'll go ahead and give you guys that poll right now. And I'll give you 10 seconds to answer that question. So everyone ready? Here we go. So is it A, use one finger from the exposed hand to remove the second glove, B, pinch the edge of the second glove and remove, or C, use the first glove to remove the second glove? So let's see, we have a couple of varied responses. So some people said A, most people said A, which is the correct answer. Use one finger from the exposed hand to remove the second glove. So remember on the second glove, that, after you remove the first glove is going to end up in the second hand, which is still gloved, and then you use the finger from the exposed hand to go under that second glove and turn it inside out so that the dirty glove is balled up into the inside of the dirty part of the second glove. So again, those steps are explained in that skill chart from your participant's manual. Now, mannequin usage. In general, our instructor manual has an a participant to mannequin ratio of 2 participants to 1 mannequin. In some areas, we are able to provide a 1-to-1 ratio of mannequin to participant. Now, if you do have a 1-to-1 ratio with mannequins and participants, that's going to mean that you're going to maybe go through the program a little bit quicker because of the fact that you have a 1-to-1 ratio. Use this extra time that you have to provide your students with more practice instead of dismissing the students early. We do get feedback from our students that are dismissed early from class, so we don't want to make that a habit. We want to make sure that we are providing a standard course time across the division. So please make sure to use that extra time to either do an extra scenario or do an extra activity from the program. So that way the students leave the course with more confidence in these skills. Now, in courses that have faces, the mannequins with faces that are removable, please make sure that you provide a 1-to-1 ratio of these faces. For example, our Laradals, they have the removable face, you can give them each a face. This way they can just remove the face when it's their partner's turn and then put it back on when it's their turn, and that will decrease the time that you take to decontaminate between participants during a CPR course. So that'll save you time. In general decontamination guidelines, basically you want to make sure that you decrease the chances of disease transmission throughout any kind of course. Make sure that you're using gloves when you're setting up mannequins. Make sure that your participants have clean hands when they are using any of the course materials. No eating or drinking during the class, because then that'll get the mannequins all messy. Each participant has to make sure that they use their own breathing barrier during the course, even if the mannequin has its own plastic piece that covers the mouth. They still have to use their own practice shield or breathing barrier. Some of them have a removable lung, like the actors or the Prestons. If you issue each participant their own lung and have them remove it when it's their partner's turn and place it back when it's their turn, then that'll also decrease decontamination time between participants. So they can quickly remove and replace so that you can run more smoothly through the course. We have different ways of decontaminating between participants if it's necessary. You can use 70% alcohol wipes, or you can use the Clorox or Lysol wipes to decontaminate between participants. And at the end of the course, make sure that the mannequins are decontaminated by the instructor. All mannequin bodies need to be wiped down, and it needs to stay wet for at least a minute. You can use a 10% bleach solution, which is 1/4 cup bleach and 1 gallon of water. Or if you have alcohol wipes or a bottle of 70% alcohol and paper towels, you can use 70% alcohol to wipe down the body of the mannequin. And also approved is the Clorox or Lysol disinfectant wipes, which have the N-alkyl dimethyl benzyl ammonium chloride. And finally, if any of the if you need to decontaminate removable parts like the faces or the pieces that are connected to the faces, then they need to be immersed. So you can immerse the faces in a 10% bleach solution, which is again the 1/4 cup bleach to a gallon of water. Or you can even put it in a washing machine in that solution. Or they can be placed in a dishwasher. You don't necessarily need that same solution for a dishwasher, because the high heat in the dishwasher will sanitize all the pieces and faces. So some of our chapters have dishwashers. I know some of our instructors, they just take the faces home, the ones that they're assigned, and they decontaminate them in their own dishwasher. Some of our chapter offices do have washers and dryers, so you can use those as well. You can just ask your training specialist how to use those cleaning materials. And so again, just to reiterate, the responsibility lies in the instructor, making sure that decontamination happens. So here to kind of reiterate the process, make sure that if anything needs to be immersed, that it's first washed in soapy water, then proceed to immerse the face or the face part in the solution. Make sure that you're using gloves when you're doing this so that you don't cause any irritation to your hands when you're handling harsh chemicals. And in the end, make sure that you dry everything properly. You don't want to store anything that's damp or wet, because that could grow mold or mildew. Okay, so here is the next knowledge check question, knowledge check number 9. So hopefully everybody was paying attention here. So the question asks, when I teach a class, whose responsibility is it to clean up the classroom and decontaminate all mannequins and faces? So I will go ahead and open up the poll here for cleanup. And I'll give you guys 10 seconds to answer. All right, so ready? Go. So is it A, the logistics coordinator, B, the instructor, C, the training specialist, or D, the volunteers of the chapter? All right, so it looks like most people are answering D. What do you think about that, Mandy?
Sorry, I was on mute. I think that is correct and excellent. Instructors should be cleaning your mannequins after classes.
Excellent. And again, if you need guidance on this or help or supplies, just let us know. As training specialists, we are in charge of helping out with the logistics piece and making sure that you have the materials that you need in order to do whatever you're responsible for. And in some areas, we've actually made sure that instructors have ACTARs instead of Laerdals. If we don't have the proper equipment to decontaminate the Laerdals, if you prefer to use the Laerdals, then we can assign you a certain number of faces. So that way, if you want to decontaminate them at home in your washer or dishwasher, or if you have, or decontaminate them in a bowl with bleach and water, you can go ahead and do that, and then you'll have your own set faces to do that. So just go ahead and discuss that with your training specialist to see which mannequin is best for you to use, or if you need to be assigned equipment to make this possible. So please feel free to reach out to us regarding that. Great. So we have different mannequin brands that we use in Division 5. The Laerdals, which include the models of Little Annie, Baby Ann, and Little Junior. The Preston, the CPR Pal, and the Actar. The Laerdal mannequins are the ones that are the most realistic looking. They have a separate face, a removable face and face part. And for decontamination, all those lungs that we use during the CPR class have to be thrown away after every single class. The faces are washed and soaked in bleach solution, and whenever we do a bleach solution where it's just sitting there, it has to be for at least 10 minutes. The baby ends are the same. They do have a separate face for each student and face part. So make sure that you decontaminate those face parts, which are the jaw and the little mouthpiece that goes into the face. There is a lung that goes attached to the baby face. That gets thrown away as well after each class. But just the same as the adult removable face, the baby faces need to be decontaminated in the bleach water solution for 10 minutes. Then we have the Prestons. The Prestons are very similar to the Actars, although they're a little bit more realistic. I know that we have them in 3 shades. We have a light, a medium, and a dark. And also they have a separate lung bag that we can provide to each student that they can install and remove throughout the course. And when it's their turn, they can put in their lung bag, and when it's their partner's turn, they can remove theirs and allow their partner to put in their lung bag. That way it minimizes the time that they're wiping down the mannequin and waiting for it to dry. At the end of the course, what you can do with the Preston is make sure that all the lungs are removed and thrown away, and you want to wipe the entire Preston down and make sure that it stays wet for at least 1 minute. The face should not be removed, and none of the other parts should be removed. All that's necessary is to be wiped down with either the approved 70% alcohol, or you can use a cloth with 10% bleach, or a Lysol or Clorox wipe. So then you have the CPR Pal. Again, they have a separate face with a lung bag for each student. Lung bags are disposed after each class, and faces are decontaminated and immersed in the same 10% solution for 10 minutes. And then we can wipe down the mannequin body with a Clorox wipe, again, or a wipe with 10% bleach or 70% alcohol. And then we have Actars. Currently, most of us are using the Actar Defibs, which have the adult head that pries open. If that's the case, those heads don't need to be immersed. They could just be wiped inside out because you can actually open the head. For the infants, if their heads don't open, then those do have to be immersed. And again, immersed in the same way, the 10% bleach solution. Otherwise, all other parts need to just be wiped down with the 10% bleach, 70% alcohol, or a Clorox or Lysol wipe. I'm going to talk a little bit about our defibrillators. And in general, the ratio of defibrillators to students is supposed to be 2 to 1, so 2 students per AED. When you're doing the end of course scenarios, those course scenarios ask for a 3 to 1 ratio, 3 participants to 1 AED, because 1 participant is going to be reading the scenario, 1 participant is going to be using the AED, and the other participant is going to be doing CPR. So make sure that you take care of the to make sure that there are adult and pediatric pads with each AED, and that you supervise that the students take care of the adult and pediatric pads so that they don't stick them to each other, because then they destroy the pads that way. It's a good idea to have an extra set of batteries in each of the AED bags, and also know how to change the batteries. In some cases, you may need a screwdriver to open up the battery case. And pads. So there's more information there about pads. Make sure that you demonstrate to the students how to remove the pads and to put the pads on, and then to put them back on the plastic protector sheet. So that way we don't have students destroying those pads, because then we have to purchase more of those if they get messed up during training. AED troubleshooting, sometimes we do have AEDs that maybe they run out of batteries, or maybe they were dropped one too many times and now they talk funny or not at all. So we need to find alternative ways that we can still allow for practice with malfunctioning AEDs. In most cases, you'll still be able to have at least 1 AED that can function or talk. If that's the case, just have that 1 AED on, and then have the rest of the students follow with their AEDs but off. Just kind of following the prompts and pretending to turn on the AED, pretending to press the shock button as the lead AED gives the prompts. You can watch the video, of course, for how to use an AED. There's an example here that you can look at it on Instructor's Corner. It's also on the DVD. It's also on the course presentation as well. And your instructor manual has an appendix, has it on Appendix G as well. So we also have resuscitation masks or pocket masks that are used whenever we do a professional rescue course or an EMR course. The standard now for our courses is to have a combo adult and pediatric pocket mask. So make sure that you have those. If not, let us know so that way we can make sure we order the combo adult and pediatric masks for that location. Again, these masks are not reused. They're issued to the student, and the student keeps that those masks. It's part of their course fee. The BVMs or back valve masks, those are also used during the professional rescuer training and EMR courses. We provide those at a 2 to 1 ratio, since they're going to be using it as a 2-person skill when they use the BVMs. BVMs come in a pediatric and adult model. And this chart includes some inclusions and exclusions that we have for the lay responder course. Just so that you remember, in a lay responder course, we include the training CPR kit and or the training first aid kit. We also include the participants' activity supplements that have all the activities and scenarios, the fact or fiction, the burn activity. And also, we library our ready reference cards, so those must be returned at the end of the course. Things that are not included, that are not standard in our lay responder course, we don't include keychain breathing barriers. There was a time maybe that we did in some of our locations, but now we don't anymore. That's not standard. We don't use the participant's manual, which is the textbook style community book. Again, that's not standard. Sometimes that will cause the course time to go too long if participants are asking questions about the content of the participant's manual. And also, of course, in a lay responder course, we don't have exams. We don't give final exams in our lay responder course unless it's requested by the employer of the participant. And in our professional rescue course, we have also included, like I mentioned, the pocket mask, the VVMs, and we library the professional rescuer handbook as well. And also we do issue the test. And the test, they must score an 80% or higher to be considered passing. Things that are not included in a professional rescue course, they don't need the CPR kit because they don't use the shield. You just need to make sure that you provide them gloves during the course. We're not allowed to use the ACTAR infants during a professional course because they don't allow you to perform the skills properly as needed for a professional course. And they also don't use the training first aid kits during a professional rescue course because our professional rescue courses do not include first aid skills like bleeding, controlling bleeding, or splinting. And also equipment that you would find and not find in a babysitting class, you do give them the babysitter participants the shrink wrap, participant book, the ROM to keep. We do use the CPR infants, the Laradols, the Prestons, or the ACTARs. Remember, they have to be able to practice how to give rescue breath. Even in a basic babysitting class, they have to practice that as part of the curriculum. So make sure that they are given a CPR mannequin that they can actually do rescue breath on in a basic babysitter's course. They do get a first aid and CPR combo kit because they do practice controlling bleeding in a basic babysitting class, and they will practice feeding and diapering, so they're going to need the spoons, the plates, and the diapers and bottles. Things that we don't include in a basic babysitting class is we don't include the babysitter's portfolio or the portfolio first aid kit. In some instances, we used to do that. Now we don't. It's not standard anymore, nor the backpack first aid kits. In some quote-unquote boot camps that are done where the prices of the babysitting class are higher, those things may be included, but that would be determined by the service delivery manager. It's not standard to use baby dolls in the class, nor actual babies in the class, so make sure that you're using the CPR infants. It's preferred to just use those throughout the course because you can do the diapering and the CPR technique on the infant. And you only need to do the actual CPR on an infant or a child if you're doing a babysitter's class. But if you're doing a basic babysitter's class, you only need to teach them how to do rescue breath. And again, you don't need baby high chairs or extra clothes for changing. That's not part of the basic babysitter's class either. Okay, so let's get ready for knowledge check number 10. So hopefully you were paying attention to what I just talked about in terms of babysitting courses. And this is the last knowledge check question of this call. So I'll give you guys 10 seconds to answer this question. When I teach a basic babysitting course, one that is not Babysitters Plus, which of the following skills must be covered? So ready? Go. How to use a high chair. B, changing the baby. D, how to give rescue breath. Or D, CPR infant. Okay, so it looks like most of you answered correctly. I'm kind of disappointed that only 4 people responded. But yes, the correct answer is D. Most of you answered D. And we only, sorry, no, the correct answer is not D, it's C. Oh, and that was my fault. I put them in a different order. The correct answer is C, how to give a rescue breath. Did I put that on there? Yeah, so it's D in the poll and it's C in the slide. Sorry about that, guys. So most of you answered the question correctly, how to give rescue breath. We do that in a basic babysitting course. So that's why you have to make sure that you have the actual infant mannequins ready and the child mannequins ready or adult mannequins ready so they can practice that skill. And And when you're going to be using a course presentation, either the first aid CPR AED course presentation or the professional rescue course presentation, you're going to need certain equipment. Definitely, you're going to need to download or stream the course presentation from Instructor's Corner. You're going to need a laptop to be able to show the course presentation. You're going to need speakers, and you're going to need a projector or monitor television that can connect to a laptop, and also the latest version of Adobe Reader to play properly. So make sure that you know your logistics, especially if you're going to be teaching at an off-site location, like a full-service class, to make sure to call them to see if they have a laptop, if they have speakers and all that. If not, then you might have to work with your training specialist to get the proper equipment to display the course presentation. All right, so do we have